Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to have some Division 20 online ranked gameplay, and I believe at this point I'm deep into the top 100. I believe I was around 70th in the world. I'm not 100% sure how accurate that is, but I'm definitely in the top 100. And in this gameplay we're going to be using Johny Hendricks. I just wanted to mix it up. I couldn't be bothered to use the same fighters over and over and over again. It just gets a bit tedious, and I just wanted to have fun on ranked for a bit. And when you're in the top 100, I know it's hard to have fun because you come up against people that are obviously going to do what they have to do to win because they don't want to lose points, which is, it's fair enough. But yeah, I was just looking to have fun, and my opponent, if I'm correct, is actually in the top 100 also. I believe he has more skill points than me going into this fight, so I knew it was going to be a good fight. And he picked GSP, and I just thought at the time, I hadn't planned on using Hendricks, but I thought, you know what, he's picking GSP, we'll pick Johny Hendricks. Obviously fought in real life. That was when Johny Hendricks was filled to the gills, so obviously pre USADA, we all saw what happened to his career post USADA. So yeah, obviously using Johny Hendricks, his stand-up isn't great. His ground game's where you want to be. I know he doesn't have the best submissions, but they're good enough. And yeah, my opponent's a high-level player, so coming into this I knew that straight away GSP has a tremendous advantage on the feet, and he even probably has an advantage on the ground, but that's the area I'm going to be more comfortable with against GSP. I don't want to keep this standing at all, because Johny Hendricks is only, he's typical quote-unquote wrestler. He just has an overhand right. He doesn't have many boxing combinations. His boxing isn't great. Kicks are awful as well, and as you can see, my opponent is pressuring me hard off the get-go. And pressuring with GSP is quite weird, because obviously GSP isn't a pressure fighter. He hasn't got great chin stats, but he must have known that he can overwhelm me where Johny Hendricks doesn't have those combos. But we managed to get the fight to the ground, and this is exactly where we want it. We want to look to beat up my opponent on the ground, do small increments of damage, work in submissions every now and then. And if you're using Johny Hendricks, one thing to take note of is that Johny Hendricks doesn't have good submissions. They're not great. I believe he has a 84 or 83 submissions, which isn't the best. I mean, you can go around the division, you have a lot better jiu-jitsu fighters, people with a lot better submission stats, but I wanted to test myself and use Johny Hendricks. I know if I can tire out my opponent, I should be able to work in a submission or be able to finish the fight via ground and pound, so that's what I'm looking to do. I'm going to play the long game, look to take my opponent into deep waters, maybe round 3. As you can see, I'll take my opponent's back here. And this is going to be pretty much what I'm going to do throughout the whole fight. It's going to be a lot of grappling. I don't want to keep this on the feet at all. And I want to tire out a GSP. It's the main thing. I just want to keep tiring him out. I believe we'll go for a takedown here. We managed to get a beautiful turning takedown. My opponent again gets up. It wasn't letting me deny it. I was having difficulty denying that. We go to get my opponent down, and he does a good job of denying that. It was a turning one as well, so just shows how good my opponent is. Shows why he is where he is. Obviously he's in the top 100 also. He's even further than me. And as you can see, he's really trying to block break here, which was a bit confusing because obviously this is a lot harder to do now. If I was him, I just would have kept the distance, knowing that I want to go for a takedown and punish me when I'm coming in, closing the distance. If you're coming up against the Johny Hendricks, you want to hurt their body, tax my stamina. Obviously boxing combinations ain't great, so as soon as I step in for boxing range, you're going to want to slip and hit me. But my opponent was just focusing on pressuring me. And here he gets the stun, and I believe he gets a knockdown. Yes, he gets a knockdown, so obviously this is going to be his round, and as you see, my stamina's depleted. He gets on top here, and we sway the straight, and we take my opponent's back. And I'm content with just sitting here and sitting out the rounds, just throwing little strikes. I know I'm not going to win the round now. There's no time for a submission, no time to do serious damage. There's nothing I can do to get back in this round. He's got the knockdown, so that's his round overall. And despite him getting the knockdown, I feel like I was having more success throughout this round. And that's the key thing. Even if you get knocked down, you just need to remain calm. And you just need to look at the round. As you can see, 4 for 3 on takedowns. 2 minutes and 24 seconds of control time. These are all positives for me. Yes, I got knocked down, but I've just got to make sure that doesn't happen this round. As you can see, my opponent's pressuring me constantly, and I'm trying to use head movement to get out of the way of these punches. Does a good job with takedown defense there. I mean, GSP has 97 takedown defense, so that's to be expected. We get to my opponent's back, and I accidentally pull away when I wanted to shoot for a takedown. We end up getting one anyway. We go straight into side control, and again, I'm just going to look to beat up my opponent, try to tire him out. I want to take the fight into deep waters. I want to make this a very uncomfortable fight for GSP. As you can see, I'm constantly doing something. I'm constantly trying to do some form of damage. I haven't gone for any submissions yet, I believe, as my opponent gets a good denial there and gets up. But I don't want to attempt too many submissions because I don't want my opponent to see what I'm going to try do in the later rounds. If I start going for loads of submissions, my opponent can see my patterns as well as me seeing theirs, so that's a positive and a negative. But my opponent can also read the game. He's like, okay, he's not going to look to posture up here, he's probably going to go for this submission instead. So I don't want my opponent to make those reads. And when you're facing high division players, especially this guy who's in the top 100, he's going to make those little adjustments, those little reads, because he's an elite level player. So I'm not going to give him any opportunity to predict where I'm going to go. As you see, we're just doing a good job here of controlling my opponent. We're in his full guard and he's not doing anything offensively. He's just absorbing his punches right now. He's not looking to get up. I think he just doesn't want me to deny the transition and lose stamina. As you can see, we're doing a good job with the ground and pound here, though we're not getting reversed. We're mixing up our hooks and straights very well. My opponent definitely needs to be more active off his back, maybe show some submission offense, but that would have given me something else to think about. If you're fighting a fighter like me right now, he's just looking to stay on top of you and control you, showing that you have that submission offense really goes a long way, because it gives the fighter on top something to think about. And obviously GSP has good submissions, but my opponent, he was just looking to take the damage and just survive the round. I'm more than fine with doing that. I'm more than fine with tiring out my opponent, posturing up, landing to the head, and controlling the round overall. That's exactly what I want to do. And like I said from the get-go, the game plan is to take my opponent into deep waters and eventually submit him or win via posturing up and getting the ground and pound. And right now we're having a lot of success. Obviously round one, judges wise, I believe will go to my opponent because of the knockdown, but I had great success that round, and it's just followed up to an even more successful second round because we didn't get knocked down and we controlled the fight very well. Right now, obviously, the second round's finished and I can feel that my opponent's getting frustrated. I'm sure my opponent's not used to getting grappled like this and controlled for this duration of time. But unfortunately for him, that's exactly what we're going to do with Johny Hendricks. I'm not going to look to stand because that's an area I won't do well in, and I want to put myself in the most advantageous position possible. So coming into round 3, my opponent doesn't want to touch gloves. You can see he's getting very frustrated now. I go for the takedown there. He denies and actually gets a takedown on me, which is fine because from what I've seen of his ground game, it's nothing too impressive offensively. Defensively, he's done a decent job, but I've controlled him, so not the best job. So I was quite interested to see how good he is when he's on top. As you can see, he's throwing a lot of straights, and I'm just dodging them. And you know, I'm not panicking here. I mean, I know GSP's ground game is very good. I'm just staying relaxed. I know my stamina is going to be in a better position than my opponent's as I deny that transition there. And as you see, I'm very calm off my back. As long as it's on the ground, my opponent's not going to do much damage. This is exactly where I want it. All it's going to take is me to get up or get a reversal, and I'll end up exactly where I want to, as I get my opponent into full guard here. And that's it. I'm just going to remain calm. And my opponent opts to get up, which is the smart thing to do. It's exactly what I would have done in his position. Shoot for a takedown here. Opponent does a good job of denying again. As you can see, he's having more success denying these takedowns, and then he's throwing these wild hooks to try and get a knockdown. Go for a turning takedown and we get it. And as you can see, my opponent's getting very, very frustrated here. You can tell by the way he's throwing strikes on the feet that he's not happy. Denies the crucifix well there. and as you can see, I'm just remaining calm, pre-denying where he's gonna go, absolutely rinsing my opponent's stamina, getting the top mount here, and as you can see it, as I was saying again, I haven't gone for any submissions because I do not want my opponent to see that that's what I'm planning on doing. If you don't go for something, your opponent subconsciously stops thinking about that threat. So if I constantly ground the pound, that's the only thing my opponent's going to be thinking about. So when I throw in that submission attempt, my opponent's not even going to register it properly and might not even get the deny. And yeah, so at the moment my opponent's against the cage, clinch him, move him towards the fence and drag him down. I didn't go for the turning one because he pre-denied that last time, so I just went for the regular turning one. We get the deny here, and I believe we go for the rear naked eventually. I think I didn't want to go for it straight away because again, I don't want him to think that that's what I'm going to do. So we just punch it to build up GA and then we go for it. And as you can see, because I haven't gone for it, I don't think he was expecting it and didn't actually get the deny. And I was just trying to see how good his submission defense is, and the more this sunk in, the more I felt confident. I mean, I only have, I think, 84 submissions with Johny Hendricks, but my submission offense is pretty good. My opponent's doing a fairly decent job of getting out, but I'm starting to predict where he's going, and the submission's getting more and more locked in. We eventually end up submitting my opponent, so overall, a very good fight for Johny Hendricks, implementing my game plan very well against a top 100 fighter. As you can see, I say well played, respect, and he's not very happy at all. Understandably, he got grappled for 3 rounds and had no success, and he just lost a ton of points, so I understand why he's angry, but this is MMA, this is what you've got to do to get the win, and it's what I done. So that's the fight. The judges' scorecards are going to come up now, so you can see how the fight was scored up until the submission finish. As you can see, I think I get a good amount of points for that. It pushes me up the rankings quite a bit. So the fight stats are going to come up now. I'm going to have a quick look over them. As you can see, very dominating, 7 minutes and 10 seconds of control time. The judges' scorecards are going to be shown here. So that was the fight. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.